Good morning. Plato's Charmides, Day 8. Here then, I said, my own dream. Whether coming through the horn or the ivory gate, I cannot tell. The dream is this: from heaven or hell? Let us suppose that wisdom is such as we are now defining, and that she has absolute sway over us. Then each action will be done according to the arts of science or sciences, and not one professing to be a pilot when he is not. No physician or general or anything else pretending to know matters of which he is ignorant will deceive or elude us. Our health will be improved, our safety at sea and also in battle will be assured. Our coats and shoes and all other instruments and implements will be skillfully made, because the workmen will be good and true. Aye, and if you please, you may suppose that prophecy will be a real knowledge of the future, and will be under the control of wisdom. Who will deter deceivers and set up the true prophets in their place as the revealers of the future? Now I quite agree that mankind, thus provided, would live and act according to knowledge. For wisdom would watch and prevent ignorance from intruding on us in our work. But whether by acting according to knowledge, we shall act well and be happy, my dear Critias, this is a point which we have not yet been able to determine. Yet I think, he replied, that if you discard knowledge, you will hardly find the crown of happiness in anything else. Well, just answer me one small question, I said. Of what is this knowledge? Do you mean a knowledge of shoemaking? God forbid. The poster of Jordan Peterson's Rule 7, I think, from his second book, has a maker of a shoemaker and his apprehensors, and the shoemaker has the face of Carl Jung, so I have it. It's there. There, you can see the top. Oh. You can also see my unmade bed. Work as hard as you possibly can at least one thing and see what happens. Or of working brass? Certainly not. Or in wool or wood or anything of that sort. Well, some people need to have this knowledge. No, I do not. Then I said, we are giving up the doctrine that he who lives according to knowledge is happy. I only know it in Afrikaans, the Bible. Wie kennis versamel, versamel smart. He who is acquiring knowledge is acquiring heartache, despair. I don't know how to translate smart. For these live is exactly the opposite, indeed, of happiness. For these live according to knowledge, and yet we are not allowed by you to be. They are not allowed by you to be happy. Nah. But I think that you mean to confine happiness to those who live according to knowledge of some particular thing, such, for example, as the prophet, who, as I was saying, knows the future. Is it of him you are speaking, or of someone else? Yes, I mean him, but there are others as well. The prophets aren't happy. Poor Jeremiah, have you ever looked at that guy? Ooh, I said. Eventually someone who knows the past and present as well as the future. Evidently someone who knows the past and the present as well as the future, and is ignorant of nothing. Let us suppose that there is such a person. And if there is, you will allow that he is the most knowing of all living men. Certainly he is. Most miserable of all living men, I would think. Yet I should like to know one thing more. Which of the different kinds of knowledge makes him happy? Or do they all equally make him happy? Not all equally, he replied. To know the past and the present, I do recommend watching the Awakening from the Meaning Crisis series. I cannot share the secrets for knowing the future. But which most tends to make him happy? The knowledge of the past, present, or future thing? Is it, for example, the knowledge of the game of droughts? Nonsense, droughts indeed. Or of computation? No. Or of health? That's closer to a reasonable estimate. Oh, he says it as well. That is nearer the truth, he said. And that knowledge which is nearest of all, I said, is the knowledge of what? This is getting spannend. The knowledge with which he discerns good and evil. You villain, I said, you have been carrying me round in a circle, and all this time hiding from me the fact that it is not the life according to knowledge which makes men act rightly and happy, not even if it be knowledge of all the sciences, but one science only, that of good and evil. For let me ask you, Critias, whether if you take away this science from the others, medicine will not equally give health, and shoemaking equally produce shoes, and the art of the weaver clothes, whether the art of the pilot will not equally save our lives at sea, and the art of the general in war. Oh, I forgot to write my time again. Oh, never mind. Equally. And yet, my dear Critias, none of these things will be well or beneficially done if the science of good be wanting. True. Knowledge of good and evil, that is just so... I'm not even gonna say it. But this science, it seems, is not wisdom or temperance, but a science of human advantage. Not a science of other sciences or of ignorance, but of good and evil. And if this be of advantage, then wisdom or temperance must be something else. And why, he replied, will not wisdom be of advantage? For however much we assume that wisdom is a science of sciences and has a sway over other sciences, surely she will have this particular science of the good under her control, and in this way will benefit us. So wisdom, he claims, is knowing the good. And her opposite. And will wisdom give health, I said? Is not this rather the effect of medicine? Of good medicine? Or does wisdom do the work, or good ways to eat and exercise? Or does wisdom do the work of any of the other arts? Do they not teach of them to do their own work? Have we not long ago asseverated that wisdom is only the knowledge and of ignorance and of nothing else. It seems so. Wisdom, the knowledge and ignorance and of nothing else. It seems so. Then wisdom will not be the producer of health. Critias said certainly not, but I hesitate to read that. We found that health belonged to a different art. Yes. But practiced only well if practiced in wisdom. Nor does wisdom give advantage, my good friend, for that again we have just now been attributing to another art. Very true. How then can wisdom be advantageous when it produces no advantage? Apparently it cannot, Socrates. So is Socrates trying to get us to love wisdom for wisdom's sake and not for the advantages? I just finished Schlinder's Plato's critique of impure reason again, and there he speaks of 3 ways, like to love for the sake of advantages, for the love of its own sake, and then a third love for both its own sake and advantages. And that seems, I think that is the claim, that is the best love. You see then, Critias, that I was not far wrong in fearing that I was making no sound inquiry into wisdom. So it seems they've just decided, okay, Sophrosina is wisdom. I was quite right and with them I mean the translators. I was quite right in depreciating myself, for that which is admitted to be the best of all things would never have seemed to us useless if I had been good for anything at an inquiry. But now I have been utterly defeated, and have failed to discover what that is to which the lawgiver gave his name of temperance or wisdom. And yet many more admissions were made by us than could be fairly granted, for we admitted that there was a science of science, although the argument said no, and protested against us. And we admitted further that this science knew the works of the other sciences, although this too was denied by the argument, because we wanted to show that the wise man had knowledge of what he knew and of what he did not know. We generously made the concession, and never even considered the impossibility of a man knowing in a sort of way that which he does not know at all. Tacit knowledge, I think, maybe. According to our admission, he knows that which he does not know, than which nothing, as I think, can be more irrational. No, I think the later science quite agree that we do know things that we do not know that we know. And yet, after finding us so easy and good-natured, the inquiry is still unable to discover the truth, but mocks us to a degree, and has insolently proved the inutility of temperance or wisdom, if truly described by a definition such as we have spent all this time in discussing and fashioning together, which result, as far as I am concerned, is not so much to be lamented. But for your sake, Charmides, I am very sorry. Oh yes, we're getting back to the beautiful young boy. I think I'm just going to finish. It's going to run a little bit over, but that you, having such beauty and such wisdom and temperance of soul, should have no profit nor good in life from your wisdom and temperance. And still more am I grieved about the charm which I learned with so much pain, and to so little profit from the Thracian, in order to produce a thing which is nothing worth. I think indeed that there is a mistake, and that I must be a bad inquirer. For wisdom or temperance I believe to be really a great good. And happy are you, Charmides, if you possess it. Therefore examine yourself and see whether you have this gift and can do without the charm. For if you can, I would rather advise you to regard me simply as a fool who is never able to reason out anything, and to rest assured that the more wise and temperate you are, the happier you will be. Charmides said, I am sure that I do not know, Socrates, whether I have or have not this gift of wisdom and temperance. For how can I know whether I have a thing, of which even you and Critias are, as you say, unable to discover the nature? Yet I do not quite believe you, and I am sure, Socrates, that I do need the charm, and as far as I am concerned, I shall be willing to be charmed by you daily, until you say that I have had enough. Oh, that is so beautiful. He is seeing, of course, through the idea that the charm is really a charm. I am sure, Socrates, that I do need the charm, and as far as I am concerned, I shall be willing to be charmed by you daily, until you say that I have had enough. Very good, Charmides, said Critias. If you do this, I shall have a proof of your temperance. That is, if you allow yourself to be charmed by Socrates, and never desert him in great things or small. You may depend on my following and not deserting him, said Charmides. If you or my guardian command me, I should be very wrong not to obey you. And I do command you, he said. Then I will do as you say and begin this very day. You, sirs, I said, what are you conspiring about? We are not conspiring, said Charmides. We have conspired already. And you are about to use violence without even giving me a hearing in court. Yes, I shall use violence, he replied, since he orders me, and therefore you had better consider what you will do. But the time for consideration has passed, I said. When you are determined on anything, and in the mood of violence, you are irresistible. Do not you resist me then, he said. I shall not resist you then, I replied. I'm wondering what this violence implies. Force. Actively pursuing. The time for consideration has passed, Socrates said. When you are determined on anything and in the mood for taking action, forcefully, with power, then you are irresistible. Do not you resist me then, he said. I shall not resist you then, I replied.